All right, today on High Noon, Drew Brees says stats can't measure how good he is now, baby. And also Champ Bailey with a hell of a speech at the Hall of Fame.
Meanwhile, in Tampa, Bruce Arians is telling Jameis Winston to please stop being Superman. And at the end of the show, I'll give you a man in Brazil who is pretending to be someone entirely other than who he actually is. Involves prison. But first, Tom Brady. Bomani, Tom Brady turned 42 this past weekend and continues to make being fantastically rich somehow look selfless. Brady has signed an extension with the Patriots that now pays him $23 million this season, only the sixth highest salary among quarterbacks, which again frees up cap space for New England to pay all these other players potentially. So I'm curious, Bo, if you were Brady, would you keep giving the Patriots this kind of discount?
Hell no. The biggest reason I wouldn't keep giving him the discount if I were him is that it's not like the Patriots are now going out and getting like the equivalent of your second superstar in order to make this happen. They are the best at bargain shopping as there is, and they are years in this time where he's giving the money back where there'll be millions of dollars under the salary cap. But what they do seem to be doing here is kind of in line with what was going on with Dirk Nowitzki in Dallas when he was giving him those discounts. He'd give you them discounts until he realizes that you got some money left over, at which point, go ahead and give me my bread. Like, he's not quite as selfless, I think, as he's being made out to be.
Well, something the Patriots like to do, given the discount that Brady has now given them for about 20 consecutive seasons, literally, he's been underpaid his whole career, is they go and get the middle class guy. And that's the guy who's been squeezed out, the guy who costs maybe between $4 and $8 million, even in that range. The guy that other teams, because they overpay their quarterbacks, so to speak, they don't really get to afford. And so that does help. But there are also some mitigating factors when we look at Tom Brady and what his financial balance sheet is, because he is married to a supermodel who makes $400 million, apparently, in terms of her net worth. And also, he has this TB12 Sports Therapy Center, which the New England system is partnered with in an official business capacity that seems to circumvent the CBA in ways that no other player in the NFL can begin to claim.
Yeah, no, I'm surprised that more isn't made of the fact that they have an actual relationship with the franchise. Like, the Kawhi Leonard negotiation has been shrouded by people wondering what else maybe he might be getting outside of the salary cap. That's been the discussion that's had there, and people in the NBA furious about it. I don't see how the NFL can't be mad at this idea that they're throwing money to this other business that this dude runs. It's like, that does seem directly to run afoul of the salary cap. I'm assuming that everybody has checked it out. It must be okay for some reason. But that's the one that makes me look at it and be like, okay, how nice are you really being to these dudes? It just seemed like y'all found a way.
The NFL has investigated. They have found no reason to be suspicious per the investigation that they had. But it does make me wonder, like, why doesn't Ben Roethlisberger go start the BR7 Institute for athletes who want to do other stuff good too?
Because what the hell would that be? Right? At least Tom Brady can plausibly be like, yo, I'm going to come up with something. Ben Roethlisberger says, I'm running a training facility. Go look at that dude. I ain't going where he trains.
You get to be trained to limp and somehow also be good at playing quarterback. But you raise a point that is worth considering. Tom Brady, for all of the weird stuff around the other parts of his life, is still out here, still earning more than he is getting.
All right, up next, Draymond Green. To the surprise of many, Green passed up his chance at free agency to take a 4-year, $100 million extension with the Warriors that'll keep him in San Francisco through 2024. Few players pass up their first chance at unrestricted free agency, where Green could get more than the most the Warriors could pay him now, but he did. Pablo, does this make sense to you?
I'm surprised by this, man. I'm surprised that going into this season, we're not going to have the fun of, is Draymond Green trying to earn all of the Supermax money that could be available to him? Because when Draymond went and hired Rich Paul in Clutch Sports, I did not think that was a move to embrace risk aversion. I did not think that this would be Draymond Green showing restraint for really the first time that I can remember him showing in any way in his career. But here he is signing a team-friendly deal, which I think makes the Warriors extremely happy. But Draymond maybe was scared by what he saw in the playoffs last year?
Yeah, the only thing about the idea of him being scared by that is what he saw was two dudes suffer catastrophic injuries and then go get max money. Right? So I don't know if that's the greatest testament to why it is that he should sign up right now. The only conclusion I can draw from this is that he hired Rich Paul and he told Rich Paul, your job is to get me the most money from the Warriors that I can possibly get. It sounds like this is the place where he wanted to play. He would not be the first person in the world who's ever turned down more money to go work somewhere else. But it is surprising that he didn't try to leverage this a little, unless the Warriors just made it abundantly clear to him, this is what we have to pay you. If you want to stay here, this is what you're going to get. And if he prioritized playing on that team more than he prioritized the money, then that's the explanation, I suppose.
Yeah, I suppose it is, but it's funny because next offseason, next summer of 2020, there isn't much out there in terms of the marketplace, right? Anthony Davis probably going back to the Lakers. Draymond Green would be the guy, and Draymond, when the market is quiet, could theoretically be his loudest. He came off a playoffs, Bo, where in terms of the benefit he posed to the Warriors offense, he was number one. He made them the best offense in the postseason when he played. They were like 12th when he didn't. He is right now riding a wave of Draymond being really important, but it seems like the thing he hated about Kevin Durant and that whole saga, is he going to stay or is he not going to stay? Draymond, to his credit, is avoiding all of that this coming year.
Yeah, but you talk about this summer of 2020 where he may be the guy out there. Who is the team? Go look at who's got the cap space. There aren't that many. Like all the fun that we had this year, that's going to reset itself next year. It's not going to be nearly as entertaining a free agency setup. And it just, like I said, it seems like he decided, I want to play here. But what's funny, that net effect of him being on the floor versus off was so much better for Draymond Green than it was for Klay Thompson in the playoffs, for whom it was negative. But who got more money? Now to John Wall. In an interview with Michael Lee of The Athletic, Wall said he doesn't want to sit out the upcoming season with injury, but he will if the team thinks it's best. He also insisted that he earned his Supermax contract that many think is the worst in the NBA, and that he wasn't raised to turn down no money. Oh, and he and Brad Beal, he thinks, should make one more run at a title, even if that isn't for another year. Pablo, what do you make of Wall's comments?
He sounds like a guy who's making peace with being in Washington for the rest of his NBA career. Because something else he said in this interview with Michael Lee is that he's not going to go try and chase a ring elsewhere. He wants to build a legacy in this city. And to me, on the one hand, that sounds enlightened, right? We've seen Kevin Durant win rings, chase rings, not be happy. We've seen Michael Jordan give Hall of Fame speeches that pale in comparison to the joy that Charles Barkley, the ultimate loser, or so we say, has been saying on NBA TV, on Inside the NBA every night. So for me, John Wall is just kind of realizing, I don't think I'm going anywhere, so let me try and make the best of what I got here.
Well, to say he's realizing it implies he ever wanted to go anywhere in the first place, and I haven't seen any evidence of that. I did think it was funny when people asked him about staying there. He's like, look, man, do you see this money they offer me? He's like, where's the pen? Like, there's never a moment that John Wall ever thought about, I'm going to just see how this goes. And by the way, signing that contract is clearly the best decision John Wall ever made in his life, because that money wouldn't be coming around if he's out here hobbling, right? So that I thought was interesting. I also think that his point about a legacy in a city means more than winning a championship is very, very interesting. What I wonder, though, without a championship or some significant amount of winning, just what is your legacy in that city? Just what is the affection that you generate in Washington, given, once again, they haven't won 50 games in my life and I'm 38 years old. Like, how that goes for him, I'm not sure, but I think it is interesting to hear somebody publicly deviate from what we believe is the only way to look at things for an athlete, which is, I must win a championship. He's like, I'd rather be the man around here.
Yeah, and what's strange about this coming year is that he's going to be sitting out probably a total now of 20 months. It's about 10 months per typical recovery times from his injury. 20 months he's going to be. We have to talk about this Champ Bailey and Ed Reed story, Bomani. Both defensive backs were inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame this weekend, and both had something vitally important to say. Reed showed up in Canton wearing this shirt featuring the faces of black victims of police violence. And then Bailey took the stage in his new gold jacket and said this.
So on behalf of all the black men that I've mentioned tonight, and many more out there, we say this to all of our white friends. When we tell you about our fears, please listen. When we tell you we're afraid for our kids, please listen. When we tell you there are many challenges we face because of the color of our skin, please listen. And please do not get caught up in how the message is delivered.
Bo, what did you make of how Ed and Champ used the moment in front of them?
Well, I want to talk first about Ed Reed, because I didn't come to work on Friday, right? So Thursday night, I'm watching this game, and I see Ed Reed comes out in this T-shirt where everybody else is wearing their polo shirts that they had been issued for the occasion. Ed Reed wore this T-shirt with people like Mike Brown, Sandra Bland, and others on it. And then I went on Twitter, and I ran a search for Ed Reed's shirt, and it was like tumbleweed. Like, I was surprised at how little it was mentioned, if for no other reason than it was obvious that he snuck this in on them. Like, I wanted to know how it was when everybody showed up in the polo and you showed up in the T-shirt. Like, something about that. I saw so little discussion about that, especially for people who do this professionally. And I'm not just talking about the people that I work for. I'm talking about everybody around this. This didn't come up, and it seemed like the decision was made, we're going to treat this man like a troll. Like, don't give the troll oxygen. The troll wants to come and rile things up. No, we're just going to act like we don't see it, and then he'll ultimately go away. Except he didn't go away, because he came back on Saturday, and he gave his speech, and it was meandering, and I wish he had written it down, and I certainly didn't agree with everything that he had to say there, but he squarely fixed a lot of significant issues into his speech. And that's before we get to Champ Bailey, who closed that so poignantly in the way that he did. But guess what, man? These cats were up here talking about significant, serious issues. These cats were speaking to the humanity of black people, and your audience's head did not explode. Now, I go down who this happens to be, because a lot of this comes particular to this company. Now, look around everybody that covers sports, man. They trying their damnedest to avoid talking about any of this stuff because of the people that they're afraid of offending. Those people didn't seem so offended, at least as far as I could tell, and I think that that's noteworthy.
It is totally noteworthy because we use words like legacy about 1,000 times a day in the sports conversation at sports media companies everywhere. But what we have with these speeches, with the microphone in front of Champ Bailey in specific, was a guy getting a chance to explain his legacy, what he wants his legacy to be, to the world. And what he said was, the thing I find most important is the thing that many of you out there find to be an imposition on sports. It is the thing that many of you out there find to be a corruption of the notion of sports in the first place. And what that is my skin color and my race and how that informs everything I do in my life. And so when it comes to the discussion of sports and blank and how those things get mixed up and dangerous, what Champ Bailey is saying is, if you watch sports, you're watching me. I'm a human being, and this is what is the most important thing in my life that I want to talk to you about right now.
And a key to understand, though, that legacy and the way that we're talking about it is molded in effect by the historian. So you cannot make this your legacy just by showing up and doing this. Let me give you a case in point. Red Auerbach's greatest legacy of the NBA is widespread integration, except that is not the first line on his resume in the way that most people talk about him, which is strange because the run of winning that they had with him as coach was largely defined by this integration, right? But we have not made that the legacy of Red Auerbach. This becomes the legacy of Champ Bailey if we decide to talk about this. Like if we say, and don't forget, man, you remember when Champ Bailey gave his Hall of Fame speech? Wasn't that great the way that he ended it? But the only way that that happens is if we actually then talk about it. So what I found to be fascinating was that the NFL on their social channels took that part of his speech and put it out and quoted, "Please listen," which is an implicit encouragement from the NFL behind his message. Now, maybe part of this happens because they got involved in this players coalition, and so now they're part of this. They have some skin in this game. They have something that pushes them to put this message out there. But they chose to do that, and I think it is noteworthy that what most of us would think is maybe the most conservative sports league out there, they feel like their audience is okay with hearing this thing. And if they think their audience is okay with hearing it, and by all accounts, the audience seemed to handle it okay, then why is everybody else so afraid of the revolutionary notion that maybe, just maybe, black people's dignity counts as much as everybody else's?
And that is what Champ Bailey is trying to underscore when he begs people to please listen. That's the genius of the rhetoric. That's the genius of the way he approached this, because he doesn't have to do this. He's not Champ Bailey, Ed Reed, anybody. They should not be expected to essentially get down on one rhetorical knee and say, listen, please understand that me as a man, that I as a man am terrified. I am terrified for these real world reasons. I would find it very hard for anybody to listen to that and say, actually, whoa. No, you're getting all your other stuff in my sports.
But here's how delicate it is, though. If he had said, hey, and please stop shooting us for no damn reason, now everything flips up, which is kind of sort of basically what he was saying at the same time. But he did take that measure of care in his phrasing. And as a result, everything did wind up being cool. But I still think fundamentally, all of us that work in this industry need to understand that to appreciate and to cover the people who play these games, we have to cover them as human beings.
Yes.
And lucky for them, can't nobody cut your mic off at the Hall of Fame, right? So you had to let them finish. What are you going to do, tackle Ed Reed while he's talking? Please.
Good luck.
Coming up next, Their new Jameis Winston on the way.
At Metro, the best deal in wireless just got better.
Who's up for that?
Switch and get 2 lines for just $80 with a full Amazon Prime membership included.
Sounds great.
Plus, now get 2 free Samsung Galaxy A20 phones with huge HD screens.
That's a huge win.
So you can enjoy the biggest shows on the newest device.
Perfect!
2, 3, 4, 5 buckles on that leather jacket?
And the Fonz.
And the Fonz.
The Fonz is the guy that's not in the leather jacket.
Terry Bradshaw looks like he just broke out of a particularly supple insane asylum.
That's an interesting way to look at it.
I don't want that jacket, though.
Quote, you don't have to do it all. You don't have to fit a ball into a window. Just dump it to the back. Learn to take your check downs. Don't try to be Superman on every play. You don't have to be elite. Said Bruce Arians to Peter King about Jameis Winston. Pablo, how confident are you that Jameis' game's about to change?
Not very, and I say that knowing that Bruce Arians wrote a book titled The Quarterback Whisperer, and so this would seem to be a case study in how good Bruce Arians really is at whispering. Because what they want him to do is dump it to the back. They want him to do less. Jameis' weakness has been decision-making for his whole life, his whole career at the very least as a football player. And so what do they ask him to do? Just do less.
But, I mean, we've seen this happen with guys before. Like, the hardest thing to fix for anybody is accuracy. And even if he throws the ball to all the right people, accuracy is going to be a question with him. The question for me is, he can become the guy who dumps it off to a back if it's not there. Can he be the guy who dumps it to the back but also makes that occasional throw that maybe you shouldn't but finds a way to work it in there? Like, is he going to be a guy who, in order to stay safe, dives it all the way back to where it makes it almost pointless to have him be the guy out there? That I'm not sure of, but I do agree with you. Hey, man, this is make or break for him. We're going to learn a lot about Arians, and we're really going to learn a lot about him.
Because the wide receivers that he has, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, O.J. Howard at tight end, Cameron Brate, they're going to make him look good if he doesn't turn the ball over all the time.
Way to throw Cameron Brate in there.
He's good at football. Next quote. I'm smarter than I've ever been. I just know so much more. I think I have the ability to be as good as I have ever been, and I don't think you can measure that with statistics. Said Drew Brees to the MMQB. So, Bo, are you buying his logic on all of that?
This is a new level of I'm in the best shape of my life. I haven't felt this good in 10 years. All the things that old people say that make me look at them and be like, oh, man, you might be finished. Now, he is smarter than he has ever been as it comes to football. That's what guys tend to be when they're old. The question is going to be physically, how well is he going to hold up November, December, and January, no matter how smart he is?
So you're referring specifically, though, to what you saw at the end of the year, right? Because Drew Brees was second in MVP voting, and career highs, completion percentage, blah, 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 all that stuff,
But
right?
where were those complete passes going, though?
And that is the issue, because Drew Brees does want to be the guy who is playing till he's 45. I think Drew Brees, I've read him say enough stuff about how he is also a maniacal workout warrior, also a guy with a diet that's very precise, like Tom Brady. I think Drew Brees is basically saying to everybody, why does Tom Brady get to be the guy who defies Father Time and I don't?
Well, I mean, and I think that's a fair question. I don't know if they got the same methods or whatever it is, but I don't know why all these old dudes think they the first people ever to keep working out and eat better as they got older. Like, other people have tried this stuff before. It's not to say that Brees can't be good this year, but with him and also with Brady, at some point you have to start entertaining the possibility that the end is going to come. And if we've learned anything about these quarterbacks through time, when the end comes in a way that's truly perceptible to people, it doesn't happen a little bit. It hits you like a ton of bricks. We're probably not going to be able to call it before it happens, but I don't think you can just safely assume that either of these dudes is going to walk in and party like it's 2009.
No, the end is definitely coming. I'm just not going to be the guy to say it's coming right now.
Well, I tried that once.
Yeah, we both have, I think, in parts. And how'd that go?
They won the Super Bowl that year. That Kansas City Chiefs game. All of us, y'all worked with me when I did it. Y'all could have saved me, but oh, no. Nobody cared about my reputation.
No.
Suckers. In closing, there's a new wrinkle in dunk contest these days that should be called Couldn't Be Me. And when I say couldn't be me, I mean me. Yeah, so apparently your homie will just sign up to get dunked on in a dunk contest. And to be clear, the part that I'm saying couldn't be me is the dude getting dunked on. I've dunked a basketball before, so that could be me. The dunking the ball couldn't be Pablo. I don't know about the other dude.
You have dunked a basketball one more time than me. That is fair.
That's right.
But when it comes to this thing, this is genius, man. This is a genius setup because the tournament I didn't really care about. I know it's cool, it exists, people play basketball, I get it. I'm in favor of it, in theory. But this is brilliant.
You see genius. All I see is a fool walking out there to get dunked on.
That was only
Do you realize how much work I have dedicated in my life to not getting dunked on? Me and Jalen Rose are talking about that outside. He says you won't find a clip of him getting dunked on because he has the same folks in his life that I got in my life. I will not be dunked on.
I was going to make a joke about 81, but then I remembered who brings lunch to the office.
So instead, you just made the joke anyway and tried to passive-aggressively act like you didn't. For the second time, you're trying to mess up lunch.
Passively, I would say. In closing, this, Bomani, is what it looks like when you're doing way too much and at the same time not nearly enough. So, we're in Brazil. This is a gang leader dressed as his daughter, who came to visit him, and he tried to leave the prison as her.
Wow, he put on her jeans, too.
Yeah, man, well, more than that.
Wait a minute. That's the dope man?
Well,
Like that's the...
that's the gang leader, and you may wonder, like, where is the daughter in all of this? And the daughter, per this plan, would be left behind in prison while he escapes as her.
Well, hold on. There had to... Like, what are you going to do? Throw her in the gin pop and nobody's going to notice? Like, there's got to be another level to this plan that nobody told us about.
No,